my name is Bethany, and welcome to another episode on the Mighty Bee channel. In today's episode, we will be discussing the advantages of using Bitpaper as your virtual whiteboard. We will be looking at some benefits of how it can keep your students engaged, as well as how this tool can help you be a better online teacher. Let's get started with today's episode. I have been using Bitpaper for about 2.5 years now. In the process of this time, Bitpaper has undergone many changes which have increased my productivity with my students. To start, we will be looking at the pricing. When we look at the pricing, we see that we have a few options. Now, the nice thing about Bitpaper is Bitpaper does provide options with their own video conferencing platform. So there is a price point for that as well. Now, I have been using Bitpaper for about 2.5 years, as I said. So when I started using Bitpaper, there weren't any price options. It was actually a free service. And Bitpaper has kept that free service here, as you can see. The free service is great for you who are just starting out. Again, as you can see, the prices are pretty affordable. So even if you would like to add additional features, $8 a month is another great starter plan. If you would like to add Bitpaper with their conferencing platform, again, they do have the free option, but $10 to start with those video calls. The price point does go up, so on and so forth. So now let's take a look at what Bitpaper actually looks like. To access our papers, we are going to hit on Papers. And we will be taken to a screen that will allow us to create some papers. And once we create our paper, we will see this. This is what a Bitpaper looks like. My students and I often joke that this is the never-ending white tunnel because you literally have infinite amount of white space to work with. So what are the tools that Bitpaper has available to us? Well, to start with, we do have our color palette where we can change our colors of both our pen and our highlighter, as well as our pen width and eraser width. When we click on the pen, this is where we do have the opportunity to draw on our Bitpaper. Now, the nice thing about Bitpaper is that it is a virtual whiteboard that encourages collaboration between the teacher and the student, or the teacher and the students. So everything I'm doing on my Bitpaper, my student actually sees in real time, which makes collaboration phenomenal throughout the course. If you would like to draw a straight line, you hit both of these at the same time, and you can draw your straight line. This small pen is a highlighter, and of course, if you want to draw a straight highlighter line as well, you click those as well. You have your eraser, which again, you can change the width of. So this is about as wide as the eraser gets, and then this is as small as the eraser gets. The small eraser is great when you're working with detail work. We will come back to these too. But now let's look at the shapes. In addition to increasing collaboration with my students, I actually like to use the shapes as a form of a reward system. This works particularly well when I'm working with my younger students. I show my younger students how they can access these shapes, whether we use a filled-in shape or not. And I typically will give them anywhere from 10 to 30 seconds to pick a shape that they like. So they will go through, look at the shapes, and see which one is their favorite. Now, for the purpose of this discussion, we are going to be using the shape of a unicorn because I actually did have a student who picked the unicorn as their favorite shape. Now, the way you use this as a reward system is at the beginning of class, I would tell my students, okay, we have to get 10 unicorns today. Now, my students know that they can earn this stamp by staying on task, completing their work when I ask them to complete it, and just being an overall amazing student throughout the entire course of our class time. But students also know that if they are not on task, and if I have to redirect them several times, the unicorn goes away. And now they have to re-earn that stamp. So allow this to be a reward system for your students. This will motivate them to want to be engaged with you throughout the lesson. Don't just have them pick their favorite shape. Have them pick their favorite color too, so it's something that they are looking forward to getting. Now, this next feature is going to be our text button. I like to use the text button when I am working on English or some form of reading and writing with my students, just because the text button is easier to maneuver than having the students to continuously write on their bit paper. Now, you as the teacher, you can write legibly because you have your setup already set. If you need suggestions on how to write legibly on a virtual whiteboard, please make sure to check out this video. I will link up here and put in the description of some options that are available to you. Our last button, the Sigma sign, can be used when I'm working with my students on math problems, as this is my equations button. So if I want an equation that is big and prominent on the bit paper for my students to see and to work with, this is where I will type my equation. Now, if I don't want to spend the time writing or typing some of these equations, I do have some preset equations here as well that I can click on, insert, and there it is, clean on my bit paper for myself and my student to work with. Now, as I said, bit paper is an infinite amount of white space on each page. As you can see in the upper right-hand corner, my pages are numbered. You are allowed 100 pages per bit paper. So that's 100 pages of infinite white space for you and your students to collaborate on. And as I mentioned, this is real time. So what you do, the students see. And what the students do, you see. But what if you're working in a group class and you have quite a few students and everybody's wanting to draw on the bit paper at the same time? How can you manage that part of your classroom? Bitpaper thought of that. It is in this setting over here. On the left-hand side, we have additional tools in these circles. How can we manage a classroom? Well, we are actually going to look at this circle right here. When I click on this circle, I learn several things. I can see how many people are connected to my bit paper. I can see their names here at users. But then I also have features to lock my paper. Whether I'm in class mode and I want to disable other students from annotating or seeing their cursors, or if I just want to stop all annotations, period, so that way all students can focus on the lesson, I have these settings here with lock paper and class mode. So that way when I am working with a group of students, we can all remain focused on the lesson without those distractions. If you do turn either of these settings on, make sure to turn them off when you are ready for your students to start collaborating with you. Now, some of the other great features that we can use with Bitpaper on the left-hand side are going to include being able to have your own graph paper. So if I click this circle with the grid, I can now set my graph paper up with my vertical and my horizontal lines. This is great when you are working with students who are learning how to graph and you want to make sure that they are getting how to plot these points. So there is no need to use a separate application or even to download and put graph paper onto your bit paper, as you can set up this page with grid lines as well now. Now here comes to the part that we've all been waiting for. Is Bitpaper only a whiteboard with infinite white space? No, it is not. Let's see how I can use a worksheet with my students in class. This is one of my personal favorites. I'm going to click here on this clipboard, and as you can see, I already have a worksheet uploaded. So to upload a worksheet, you just go to Upload Files. Now, on Bitpaper, I typically only upload PDFs, and sometimes I'll upload JPEGs. But most of the time, it's just a PDF document. Now, when I want to put the Bitpaper onto my page, I'm going to click on the page that I want to upload. I'm going to close that. And so now my worksheet is here on my Bitpaper. And again, remember, this is in real time. So what you do on your side, your student is also seeing it at the same time. So myself and my student now see this worksheet. Now it's a little small, so I am going to just maneuver this so that way I can make this a good working size. If I do need to maneuver this, notice I'm using the single mouse because the single mouse is what is going to move that worksheet around for me. Now when you upload a worksheet, there are two things that you want to do right away. You want to make this worksheet unerasable and you want to lock this worksheet. If you do not make this worksheet unerasable, you can actually erase this worksheet, which is not good. So I'm going to hit undo. I'm going to click my single mouse. I'm going to click on my worksheet. I'm going to make this unerasable and I'm going to lock this. Locking it will prevent the worksheet from moving around by accident. Now, when you make this worksheet unerasable, the writing behind the worksheet is going to come through. But now that is easier for you to erase and you are not going to erase your worksheet anymore. Now that your worksheet is up, how can you use this to teach? Well, if I am my student, which my student is going to be here on my iPad, I can now see this worksheet for myself on my end. This is a great collaboration tool because it will allow you as the teacher to give instant feedback to the student. As an example, if I am working question, let's say 58 with my student, and my student is practicing plotting points on the coordinate plane, if the student makes a wrong step, I can go ahead and correct my student, or I can praise my student for doing a great job. So again, if my student does make a wrong step, I can see it in real time. As a side note, you want to make sure that you are going to be using a different color to write than your students. So that way you can see who is writing at which point. So just to recap, what are the benefits of using Bitpaper in your virtual classroom? You have a built-in reward system with your stamps. Have the students pick the shape that they like in their color and use that as a reward system to keep your students engaged and keep them motivated throughout the class. Bitpaper naturally encourages collaboration. Have your students get their link so that way they can work on this with you. Make sure to have your students bookmark their individual Bitpaper link so that way you can come back and use this Bitpaper time and time again. Me personally, my students know to have their Bitpaper open as soon as class starts. We use it in class and their homework gets put on their Bitpaper. And 3, Bitpaper allows you to give instant feedback because this is in real time. So if you see a student make a wrong step, then you can correct them. On the flip side of that, you can also encourage your student right away because they are doing a great job. Thank you so much for watching today's episode on Mighty Bee. I hope you have enjoyed it. In the comments, please make sure to tell me what is one thing you learned or appreciated from this video today. Be sure to subscribe to my channel as I am always posting tips and tricks on how you can become a more effective online teacher. And as a side bonus, make sure to sign up for my membership. On the members only page, we do provide exclusive content on all the amazing additional tips and tricks on how to be a professional online teacher. I'll see you in another episode. Bye.